it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. Today I'm here for the Scrapbook Nerd online shop, and I'm going to be creating a 12 by 12 layout featuring a mixed bag of products. My plan is to create my own collection using the Art by Marlene Bright and Bold collection by Studio Light as my jumping off point. Also, I'll be doing some beginner mixed media. So it's safe to say I'm going to be working way outside my comfort zone. The first thing I want to do is jump right in and start building the collection. So what I'm going to do is show you this collection by Art by Marlene. And you can see there are bright, bold colors. It kind of has this mixed media look to it. Now I'm going to go through the papers one by one. And you're going to see that one side are these bright, bold prints, and the flip side are all solid. So that's the saving grace for me. That is what inspired me to get it. First of all, I was very, very curious, but also the fact that there are solids on the flip side, I figured I could do something with it. So once I show you all of this, what I'm going to do is bring in some other paper. And I do this with other products as well when I create my own collections. Now for this one, I know right off the bat, I have to tone it down a bit. So I am simply bringing in white and black cardstock. Also, having a look at this paper, it has this kind of funky feel about it. So I know everything else I select kind of has to have that funky vibe as well. So I'm going to be bringing in these alphas from Vicky Boutin. Those are from her print shop collection. They are really fun, and I like that they're white and black, but there's also a little bit of gold there. Now that's inspiring me to bring in this gold metallic paper from Tim Holtz. I don't end up using it, but I often do this when I create collections. I'm just bringing in stuff. I want there to be options. So I thought that may work given that there is a little bit of gold in those alphas. For my embellishments, I plan to make them, so I'm going to be bringing in some tools. The first thing I was looking for was a stamp set that was kind of a background stamp set, kind of a mixed media look. This one is from Stamperia, and it has a film strip. It also has like a text background print as well as some leaves and flowers. Now the film strip on it inspired me to pick out a tool set from Elizabeth Craft Designs that has a film strip on it. It has other elements as well, and I end up using that quite a bit. I also wanted another tool. So I do happen to know the story I'll be telling is a story told from my heart. So I thought I would get out my heart dies. Now I'm showing you in this envelope, I have a bunch of different styles of hearts. So I have your classic hearts, I have stitched hearts, but I also have these kind of funky, wonky hearts. So I'm going to bring those in just to match the style and the mood and feel of this kit. So that's going to be my collection. And now what I'm going to do is show you the photo I'm going to use. Because of all of these colors, I decided to turn my photo into a black and white one. Also, to me, this kit had a very energetic look about it. So that there is a photo of me, a selfie of me while on a run. So I'm showing you what I've done here. I did mat my photo with black cardstock. I matted as well that white cardstock with some black cardstock, and I gutted it. I plan to add a second frame behind there as well, but not yet. Right now I'm showing you the paper from that collection that I've selected, and I'm showing you what I plan to use as my final frame there. But like I mentioned, I don't want to frame my layout quite yet because I do plan to do a bit of mixed media. It's going to get a little bit messy, and I don't want to get ink on that printed paper. I don't mind that there's black behind there because the ink I'm using is going to be black. So now I'm going to show you my beginner mixed media supply. So I do have that stamp set that I mentioned earlier, that I showed you earlier. I already have the text one as well as the film strip on acrylic blocks. I also have some black ink, a little bowl, a little paintbrush, and I also have my Versafine Clair black ink. So the first thing I'm going to do is some stamping, and this is going to be my first layer of mixed media. So what I'm going to do is stamp with that text stamp, and I'm going to stamp 3 times on the right hand side towards the top, and I'm going to stamp 3 times, but I'm only going to ink it once. So what that's going to do is give me 3 different colors basically of the black ink. They're just progressively going to get lighter and lighter. Now you're going to see here I have a little sponge mat underneath because I'm hoping to get a clear stamp here, but basically I don't do a very good job on camera here. You can see I have a little bald spot in the middle. Anyway, I did test this out before this film and it worked fine, and you'll see later on I have it working fine as well. It's just I get nervous sometimes, I think, when I film and I do things a little bit too quickly. Anyway, like I mentioned earlier, I'm stamping 3 times without re-inking just to give me different colors of that black ink. So now what I'm going to do is just clean up that stamp. I'm going to re-ink it, but what I want to do is put a repetition of that stamping in the kitty corner. So where it is now, it's in the top right. I'm going to do it in the bottom left. This time I want it to be second generation stamping. So I want it to be a bit lighter. I stamp it on that scrap paper, and of course it works out perfectly fine. And now what I'm going to do is just do a little hint of it at the bottom, but it's not going to be a full stamp worth. It's just going to be a little bit of it at the bottom there. Then once I clean that off, what I'm going to do is stamp a bit with the film strip. You'll see me do that in a moment. I will ink it up with the black ink again. And what I'm going to do there is ink it and put it over there on the right just one time. And then I will add a repetition in the kitty corner once again. So I'm going to be doing that in the bottom left. This time I won't be re-inking. I'm just going to do it at the bottom. Once again, it's just going to kind of bleed off the page there, just to give a hint of that embellishment area at the bottom to make it look like, or at least relate to, the embellishment area that will be in the top right. Now what I want to do is add some splatter. So I'm really outside my comfort zone now. What I'm going to do is take my ink and put 3 drops in this bowl, and then I have this little squirt bottle. I'm going to put 3 squirts in there. So that's kind of my recipe, and I'm just going to take this paintbrush. I put a bunch of that liquid, or paint and water, or ink and water I should say, on my brush. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it about 6 or 7 inches above my paper, and then I'm tapping it. So that's just giving me little sprinkles, little splatters in the top right and as well in the bottom left. So now what I'm going to do is clean up this mess, wash my hands, and now I'm going to frame my page. So you can see here what I'm doing is just gutting that colorful paper. I will glue the top part of the foundation page, the black and the white, on top of this frame, and then I will use the paper that I gutted from behind the foundation page as layering pieces on top of that white cardstock. So I'm fussing right now just to kind of place it in the middle. And then what I will do is start creating basically a layered photo mat that's going to go behind my photo here. So I'm going to start by cutting that paper that I gutted from behind the foundation page just a moment ago. I will put measurements on the screen for all of this, but basically here what I'm doing is cutting it 1/2 inch wider than what the photo is. So I'm cutting this at 6 3/4 inches wide. And what I will do is just kind of rip the bottom. So again, I'm creating kind of a messy look here. So ripping lends to that look really, really well. With the other 2 solid papers that I've selected, this kind of purplish pink as well as that blue, or I suppose aqua, I cut myself 2 2-inch strips. And what I'm going to do as well is basically tear the bottom, but I'm playing around just to get an idea of how long I want these pieces, and I'm ripping them right now. And before adhering any of this to the page, there are a few more steps. First, what I want to do is apply a little bit of ink to the edges of these papers. This ink here is a little bit lighter than what I used before. It's also Versafine Clair, but it's Morning Mist, so it's a dark gray. I inked all of these pieces. Now I'm going to place them on the page, but I'm not ready to adhere quite yet because I do want to add some more layers here. And you're going to see me get out my die cutting machine in a minute, and I will start using the first set of dies that I showed you, and that's the film strip die set by Elizabeth Craft Designs. So what I'm going to do here is cut myself out 2 of those film strips. This die set has been around for quite some time, but it's very new to me. It's actually the first time I'm using it on a layout. And what I do like about it is that it cuts out very well. I'm just using my magnetic plate here, nothing fancy, no precision plates, and you're going to see it cuts out very, very well. And I find that pretty true to all Elizabeth Craft design dies that I have anyway, and I have tons of them. They cut out really, really well. So I'm going to cut out a second one of these film strips, and then what I'll do is cut out a few more pieces from this die set. You're going to see me cut out what looks like a Polaroid frame, and then I also will cut out what looks like kind of a, I don't know if it's a binder clip or a clip on top of a clipboard. You'll see that in a moment. With each one of those dies, a few other pieces often pop out. I don't end up using them, but like I mentioned, the Elizabeth Craft design dies really do work well, and you kind of get a good bang for your buck. Like one die may cut out 3 different things. So you can see how I'm lining everything up here. So basically I just added those film strips to that vertical border over there on the right. I plan to use that Polaroid frame as a pocket. You're going to see me create a pocket with it a little bit later on, and I am going to be incorporating hidden journaling on this layout. So what you see me doing right now is just backing the whole of that Polaroid frame with that blue paper there, and then what I actually am going to do is add another piece of cardstock behind it. You see that white piece there? That's because I want to make it a little bit more substantial. My plan is to pop that up a little bit later on with some foam adhesive because I want to create it into a little journaling pocket. And those little clips there, I'll get back to those a little bit later on. So right now, I am ready to adhere all of these main parts to the foundation page, and then I will do my finishing touches. I will create that pocket, I will make my title, and I will do some finishing touches. So you can see I'm just adhering these pieces, the vertical border along with those film strips there. I'm just adding a little tiny bit of adhesive behind those film strips because that photo block that goes on top of it takes up quite a bit of space on the page, so that is going to hold down those film strips. So everything is adhered except for my little Polaroid frame. I'm going to do that later on. You can see my title is Remember. I have it on wax paper, and what I'm doing right now is creating the pocket. So I have these really old, very narrow strips of foam adhesive, and I put them on 3 sides of that Polaroid frame, so it's going to be popped up a little bit. And what I want to do right now is create an insert for that pocket. So I have this white cardstock here. I will put measurements for this on the screen, but what I'm cutting it out at is basically 1 5/8 of an inch. But you can see I'm just kind of guesstimating. That's because I want that white paper to slide in between the rails, basically, of that foam adhesive behind that Polaroid frame. I am basically creating a little booklet, and you're going to see I did it twice as long and I folded it. I did it just a minute ago because I do have more writing. It's only a tiny little space behind that Polaroid frame, and I have more of a story to tell. That's why I created a little booklet. Now what I'm going to do is I folded that in half, and I'm taking my scoreboard here and I'm scoring it at 1/4 inch. And that's just going to make it so that this little booklet kind of opens up nicely. And then what I will do is simply take some adhesive, and you're going to see me adhere that clip to the end of that little booklet that I just created. So I'm using this tear and tape here, and I'm putting it at the front and on the back. I like using this for interactive elements because it just makes the interactive element more, I don't know, it's more tough. This is going to be something that will be manipulated, so I don't want the adhesive to, I don't know, pop off or get weakened, I guess. In the corners there were little square corners, and that clip has rounded corners, so I just kind of cut the corners so that it would be hidden within the clip, and I adhered that. So you can see I have a little space there. what I plan to do with that space is do some stamping. So I'm getting out another stamp set. I use this one all the time. It's from Elizabeth Craft Designs. It's full of little expressions. This one is called Family. So the stamp I'm using is In My Heart, and I'm doing it in that black ink. I muck it up a wee tiny bit. It's okay, but at this point I think, you know what, I'm going to do the flip side and to see if I do a better job. And in fact, I do. So I stamp once again In My Heart. I put it in the pocket. It's a little too long, so I trim it. I just want In My Heart to peek out from the top. Then what I did was I cleaned off all my stamping and ink from the table, and now you can see I'm just kind of placing everything on the page. I do want to add some more embellishment, so I'm getting out my Big Shot here as well as those heart dies, and I'm going to cut myself out 5 heart dies in, well, they're 3 different sizes, and I cut out the hearts 5 times. So you're going to see I have my title there, I have my pocket, I have my journaling box, and I also have those 5 hearts. So 3 of them are going to go up in the top right where the main part of the embellishing is. The main part of the page is really, and then the other 2 will go in the bottom left as a repetition. Now you can see I adhered that pocket down, I tucked my journaling box in, I've placed my hearts around, but the problem is my title. It has to overlap that journaling pocket which has been raised up. So the R is going to overlap on that pocket, but the other alphas are going to be more, I don't know, further down because the pocket is popped up. So what I end up doing is adding foam adhesive to all of those letters. That's why I didn't make you watch, but I must say it's very easy to do because those alphas from Vicki Boutin are chipboard and most of them are solid behind there. So it was really easy to add foam adhesive and kind of make the title flush with the last letter R that's placed on top of that Polaroid pocket. But basically that's it. Aside from continuing adhering my title, I added some string to that journaling box, but that is it. Anyway, I had really a lot of fun creating this layout. I hope I inspired you to create a collection using something that may be a bit offbeat as a jumping off point. Personally, I found it interesting how it took me in a direction that was really different than my signature style. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the Scrapbook Nerd YouTube channel, we would be thrilled if you did. The same thing for my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec. Don't forget to check out the Scrapbook Nerd online shop for all of these fun supplies, tools, and more. Have a great day. I'll be back with another layout process video on December 14th. See you then. Bye-bye.